And then there's Bad Fergie, her description, not mine, who makes bad judgments and lands herself in scandal time after time.
Andrew and Sarah Ferguson are not remembered for their marriage. They are remembered for what came after. And when you line everything up, year by year, scandal by scandal, it becomes clear why their names are still tied to controversy decades later. And also, why they remain such a close-knit pair years after their divorce. Most people know the highlights. The Epstein connection, the financial troubles, their crude behaviour with staff. But when you actually slow it down and look at how often trouble followed them, both separately and together, the pattern is hard to ignore. So today, we're walking through 11 of the biggest scandals linked to Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, using reported facts, direct quotes, and what is actually on the record. Some of this you will remember. Some of it you may not.
30 years ago, John Bryan found himself at the heart of a royal story like no other, when these infamous toe-sucking pictures of him with his then-girlfriend Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, were splashed all over the tabloids.
The first and most serious controversy is the one that continues to define Andrew's public standing, is of course the abuse allegations. According to court filings and sworn testimony, Virginia Giuffre alleged that she was trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein to Andrew when she was a teenager. She claimed the encounters happened between 2001 and 2002, including at Ghislaine Maxwell's London residence, at Epstein's home in New York, and on Epstein's private island in the Caribbean. Andrew has consistently denied these allegations. There was no criminal trial. However, the civil case was settled in 2022 for an undisclosed sum, allegedly in the millions. Following the fallout, he lost his remaining military titles and royal patronages. That story alone reshaped how the public views him. But it does not exist in isolation. Because long before those allegations became public, there were already serious questions about his judgment, his associations, and the people he allowed close to him. Which brings us to number 2, Sarah Ferguson and her financial ties to Epstein. According to emails obtained by the Mail on Sunday, Epstein reportedly provided Ferguson with financial support over a period of, this is truly wild, roughly 15 years.
But don't try and trick me now, because I'm not going to play this game. Delete that bit. John, can you just delete it, please, that bit? Because I don't want to go down this...
Duchess, I'm asking very fair questions of you.
No.
This went far beyond the $20,000 she initially acknowledged publicly. 15 years of financial support. One source told the paper that Epstein eventually cut her off because he was frustrated by the repeated requests for money. The source claimed that what was said publicly did not match what was happening privately, and that she was frequently asking for financial help. Ferguson later said she regretted any association with Epstein. But the emails, and the length of the relationship, raised uncomfortable questions about how dependent she had become on his money. Next, we have the moment that permanently damaged her public image in the early 1990s. Just months after separating from Andrew, Ferguson was photographed on holiday in Saint-Tropez with her financial advisor, John Bryan. The images, published by the Daily Mirror, showed him sucking her toes while she sunbathed. At the time, it caused outrage. Not just because of the intimacy, but because she was still legally married and remained a highly visible public figure. The images were splashed across newspapers worldwide and became a lasting symbol of royal embarrassment.
Absolutely, the crown is... I suddenly woke up in the morning, I had 600 messages on my phone, and I was going, what happened? And it was the crown. So, yes, it's instigated a huge worldwide...
That scandal alone would have ended many public careers, but it didn't end hers. Fast forward to more recent years, and questions about Andrew's finances have resurfaced again. Number 4, we have the financial blunder that came out in 2025 about Andrew's associations. In October 2025, court documents linked him to Adrian Gleave, a businessman connected to a collapsed firm accused of pension mis-selling. The records showed that Andrew received roughly $80,000 in payments. There was no criminal charge related to Andrew, but once again, the optics were damaging. Critics questioned why someone with his background continued to associate with figures tied to financial controversy. Then there was the property deal that raised eyebrows around the world. In 2010, Andrew sold his Sunninghill Park mansion for £15 million, which was around £3 million above the asking price, to Timur Kulibayev, the son-in-law of Kazakhstan's then president. The overpayment sparked immediate suspicion.
Just too tabloid.
Sarah Ferguson at war with me, but also with herself.
I'm going to take 5 minutes.
Sorry?
No, nothing. I'm just going to take 5 minutes.
Fed up 1 minute,
Any fish in here?
brash, charming, and funny the next.
Many questioned whether it was truly a standard property transaction or an indirect way of gaining influence. Who would pay over $3 million over asking or market value? Andrew's team denied any wrongdoing, but later reporting revealed that his office had also attempted to help broker another deal for Kulibayev. The Guardian covered the story in detail, and it remains one of the most cited examples of questionable judgment. Around the same time, Sarah Ferguson found herself at the centre of another scandal. In 2010, we have the Cash for Access scandal, classic Fergie. She was secretly filmed by an undercover reporter from News of the World, offering to sell access to Andrew for £500,000. She accepted $40,000 in cash as a down payment, and was recorded saying that the payment would open doors and make things happen. She later claimed Andrew knew nothing about it, and said she was under financial pressure. The damage was done. The footage spoke for itself. 2 years earlier, she had already been facing legal trouble abroad. Then we have to mention the Turkish orphanage scandal. In 2008, Ferguson filmed inside a Turkish orphanage while working on a documentary for ITV. Turkish authorities accused her of entering under false pretenses and violating the privacy of 5 children. An extradition request was later rejected by British officials. The legal case dragged on for years before being dropped in 2019. But the incident further added to her reputation for poor judgment. Behind the scenes, there were also issues with staff. Many issues with staff. According to Paul Burrell, former royal butler and author of The Royal Insider, Ferguson clashed frequently with household employees. He described tension, frustration, and a lack of respect that eventually boiled over. One staff member was reportedly so exasperated that he openly shouted a remark about her lunch order.
Oh, it was the best day of my life, apart from having my girls. And I had a lovely dress. It's a great dress. And it was certainly a long kiss on the balcony. That was a good long one.
That kind of breakdown does not happen in a healthy working environment. You also have the claims about Andrew's behaviour with staff, making sure they line up his teddy bear collection just right, shouting at them, and forcing them to clean up soiled tissues on his bedside. Then there is a claim that still shocks people when they hear it: Fergie's crush on convicted offender Epstein. During interviews with US authorities, Ghislaine Maxwell allegedly suggested that Ferguson had a personal interest in Epstein. She described feeling irritated and sidelined, saying she believed Ferguson was trying to pursue him. Maxwell also claimed that Ferguson celebrated Epstein's release from prison and visited him in New York with her daughters present, asking for help with her charities. These claims are allegations, but they exist on the public record and add another layer to an already troubling web of connections. Of course, there's Andrew's use of public money. Between 2005 and 2019, he earned the nickname Air Miles Andy due to frequent use of private jets and helicopters, often at public expense. Reports detailed repeated luxury travel, raising questions about accountability and entitlement. And finally, there are long-standing reports about Andrew's behaviour abroad. Multiple sources and former associates allege there were incidents during trips to Thailand and Hong Kong where he entertained dozens of women over short periods of time. While no formal charges were brought related to these claims, they contributed to a reputation for excess and poor boundaries that followed him for years. When you put all of this together, it paints a picture that is difficult to dismiss. Not one isolated mistake, not one bad year, but decades of controversy, questionable choices, and associations that repeatedly came back to haunt them both. So here's the question. Do you think Andrew and Sarah Ferguson were simply reckless or naive? Or do you think they believed the rules never really applied to them and they are above it all? Or, I guess, is it possible these are all just untruths and they are innocent? Let me know what you think, and if you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more royal news and analysis.